Hello everyone. Today we look at the debug log, the ExBrowser debug log and debug messages. So there are actually 4 commands. It's clean debug log, save debug message, return last debug message, return all debug messages. So all commands and functions write to the debug log in case there is an error. So you should always check the debug log if something is wrong or if you have a problem and something is not working. So during your development phase, it's always good to run the debug log and check if there are any debug messages in there. So the debug log is also using the thread ID. So if you are running multiple threads, it will store the debug log within each thread. But that also means that you have to access and store the debug log within the thread. But that's something I will cover in one of the advanced threading tutorials. So here's the thing. So what you can do, you can save debug messages. That's a text you can store, whatever you want to put in there, right? You could use it during your code and have markers like step 1, login, step 2, extract data, step 3, add data. Whatever you want to add to the log, you can do, so you see it in the log, right? I can run the node and then I have it here in that debug log, right? So every entry in the log is separated with that line next entry. Right, so if I run it multiple times and I use the return all debug message, it will give you the different entries here, and they're all separated, right? So it's also a good practice if you sell bots, for example, that you kind of integrate some debugging into your bot, right? That your bots actually create log files. So in case your customers contact you that something is going on or it's not working, you can ask them to send you the log file that your bot writes every time it's running. And you could integrate the debug message into that log, right? You could write status messages into the log, browser versions, what they are doing, right? What commands they're executing, and so on, right? It's very important, and that's also something I will cover in one of the advanced tutorials. How to know what your bot is doing, right? A lot of developers write great bots, but they do not have any kind of fault routines in their bot, right? So they expect that everything works perfectly fine. But if not, the bot will go in some unknown state. So they have no state control of their bot. So if you do something in your bot, you click something, you should check if the object you want to click is there. If it's not there, write to the log, right? And track the whole process. Of course, it's a lot more complex to write code in that way, but it will give you a lot more detailed information later on when you troubleshoot stuff. And this is critically important if you sell bots, because otherwise there might be problems on some computers or some configurations on your customers, and they contact you and tell you, hey, I'm using your tool, it's not working, now what? So, and you don't have any tools, any logs to troubleshoot that. So it's really, really important that you use the debug log and also add your own logging to your bot so that you can check and see what the bot is doing, where everything works fine, right? And I mean, if you automate websites, stuff changes a lot, right? The HTML code changes, website gets updated, your expert expression is not working anymore. And if you have a big bot and you don't have like a status tracking and you don't track where an expert expression is not matching and returning 0 elements or whatever, if you don't know where that happens in your bot, right, code line 487, then you have a lot of fun troubleshooting that stuff, right? So add that to your coding practice, right? Get really good at integrating logging and status messages in your bot. That will really help you, and especially if your bot is a bigger bot doing a lot of different stuff. And yeah, and even more important, if you sell it or give it to other people, right? So yeah, that's kind of the debug log. I think we covered everything. Of course, yeah, clean debug log, I think it's obvious. It's still deleting all the messages in the log. And also if you run cleanup command, either in the launcher or the standalone cleanup command, that will reset all browser sessions, close all browsers, remove them from the internal ExBrowser database, and of course also clean the debug log. So yeah, that's it. And thanks for listening, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.